All right, well, let's welcome you back to LLF, Local Louisville Fighting, for 2022. This will be our first podcast of the year, so it'll be a little different, but the questions are going to be a little bit stronger this time. As you noticed, I'm not by myself this time. So, first things first, through God all things are possible. Second thing, we have a co-host now. LLF has a co-host now. Katie Marks. Introduce yourself, Katie.
Hey, I'm Katie. I've been part of one podcast before, and I'm excited to be on the other side of the microphone today.
Yeah, you did real good in that All or Nothing podcast, so continue.
Yeah.
All right, so first podcast, 2022. Our guest, Mr. Kelley Mays, in the building. Glad you're here, brother.
Man, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be invited. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so for 2022, first show, brand new year. You see it. Let me have your glass. We are going to make a toast to New Year.
You got to take the bag off. Come on.
You going to take that? All right, I wasn't sure. You know what I'm saying? That's what Kelly's here for.
We're in St. Matthews, okay? I'm not putting my pinky up.
You not putting your pinky up?
Gotta show the bling off, though.
Yes, he does. So, Kelley, one of the best dressed men in the business. He gonna give me some tips eventually. He gonna give me some tips. But Lord knows my fashion needs some sense. And on this special occasion, our audio engineer Hugh has a glass. We are going to get him together. Wave, say hi there.
That's all they get.
That's the guy behind the scenes.
That's all they get is my hand.
Take that.
Cool guy in the corner.
Yes, it is. Here we go. Toast 2022. Boom. Brand new year. Hope everybody the best.
How do you know I like red?
You don't like red?
I love red.
All right. Well, is there a lid for this? No telling where I put it is on there. Okay, you didn't see that. All right, so we're going to hop right into it. First question I have for Kelley Mays. You put something up today about the best fighting the best here in the city of Louisville. Can you elaborate on how do you actually feel about the best fighting the best here in Louisville? Without getting too much.
No. Well, when I came up, 77 going into 78, I was fortunate enough to come up underneath Greg Page, who hasn't even turned pro yet, who went on to become former heavyweight champion of the world.
Right.
Former world welterweight contender, Tyrone the Fly Moore.
Mm-hmm.
And also a gentleman by the call Silver Dollars, Terry Silver, who gave Aaron Pryor the blues 3 out of 5 times in the amateurs. And was the master. Yes, at 139. Beat Aaron Pryor, unified 140-pound world champion, 3 out of 5 times from Louisville, Kentucky.
3 out of 5.
So when I say that's who I came underneath, they were my bigger brothers, my mentors.
Mm-hmm.
They took care of me. When I say the best fighting the best, you had at one time scheduled was Greg Page versus James Pritchard.
Ooh.
They were both 10 in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Due to medical conditions, that fight was never happened. Right below that, you had Tyrone Moore and Bradley Williams, both ranked in the top 10 of the world at 147.
And both from here?
Both, no, I go deeper.
Yep.
Both from Louisville, from the West End.
Yeah.
And fought in a community center while being world rated to a draw.
Wow.
When I say the best fought the best, these guys are handpicking their opponents. Everybody fought who they was around. If me and you were coming up at the same time, bringing an opponent in from Cincinnati, why? Charles is right here.
Right, I'm right here beside.
So you have Pritchard and Page, Tyrone Moore and Bradley Williams, Aaron Shackles versus Shane Cooper at 112 pounds.
Okay.
Again, Tyrone Fly Moore versus Antone Chicker Robinson. Antone Chicker Robinson was one of my guys. He was the last legitimately world-rated super middleweight champions, super middleweight contenders, number 10 in the IBF.
Number 10?
Yes, Antone Chicker Robinson. West End kid, Victory Park.
Victory Park, okay. Well, and this is all coming out of Louisville, so this is when you were coming up.
Absolutely.
Correct? This is when you were coming up. And this was all right here, West End, Newburgh, and the whole
what we call the East End.
Right.
from the east end to the west end of Newburgh. The city Louisville was a hotbed.
Right.
You know, we had 6
Right.
gyms, and I think it was 3 or 4 national champions. When you win the nationals, that means you are the very best at your weight in an open division in the United States.
United States.
So when you had a Terry Moore, a Terry Silver beat an Aaron Pryor,
Uh-huh.
who both went on to become world champions. I apologize, Aaron, not Terry.
Uh-huh.
That's the best fighting, the best in the amateurs. And then you see
Right.
each other again in the pros.
Right.
Sugar Ray Leonard refused to fight Aaron in the pros.
He will fight him in the pros.
I'm not going to do it. You can't make me.
It was some of that.
Yes.
It was some of that.
Aaron the Hulk Pryor, Cincinnati's finest.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, and I just saw something about him when I was up there for regional. So we are getting ready to bring it in. I know Katie Marks got something for us, so
Almost
your
definitely.
turn.
I have the pleasure of knowing Kelley Mays as first a coach, so I must always refer to him as Coach Mays, Coach Kelley. But speaking of best fighting the best, how did you get drawn in? You had the privilege of coming up in the golden era, is what many refer to your years, and maybe just prior to your years of boxing. How did you get drawn into this, amazing love that we all share?
A friend of mine by the name of Troy Sidebottom. We went to school together, but I was always into something.
Say it again. We always into something. We into something.
I was a little kid. I think I may have had a chip on my shoulder. Didn't care, so if you want to fight, we'll fight.
Right.
And so he said, I go to a boxing gym called Baxter Gym. It used to be 919 Baxter Avenue. Now I believe it's a nightclub.
What?
Yes, it is. I think I've been there
Oh,
a few times.
wow.
That's where Greg Page came out of. Tyrone Moore, Terry Silver.
Really?
All the, yes.
Oh, he was cutting the rug in
That's
that
a
joint.
mystery
Yes.
for you
He
right
was cutting the
there.
rug in
So
that joint.
Troy took me to the gym. I was 11 or 12, and I'll be 58 in a couple months, and I'm still here.
Hallelujah.
Wow, so anybody that goes to Baxter's, you walking into some history.
Right. I had no
You
idea
don't
when I was
know
kicking it back then.
Wow.
So when I worked Greg Page's corner his very last fight
Uh-huh.
when the accident occurred. And then we started the Greg Page Foundation, and we were able to acquire a building from the city. So we named the gym Baxter Memorial Boxing Gym in memory of where we all came from.
All right.
Because without a Baxter or a baby Leroy Emerson,
Mm-hmm.
there would be no Kelley, there would be no Greg Page, Tyrone Moore, Terry Silver. We would not be here
It all stemmed from
at
that.
all. At all.
That's good. So, all right, my turn. Boom, boom. Let me ask you a question. So, you know what? Let's go through the pictures. How about this? Let's go through the pictures. You give me a short little synopsis on the pictures that we're going to roll through, because this is you. Brother, this is you. So we're going to start with this one right here. What we got right here?
This is me and Evander Holyfield,
What fight was this?
late 90s. That is Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, and is referred to as the Fan Man fight, with a parachute with a fan landed in the middle of the ring in the middle of the fight.
And see, I remember that fight. So you took this picture that night. This was
That
before all
was,
that
actually, that
happened.
was actually taken at the weigh-ins the day prior.
Right. Okay, but that was that fight, though,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So you were at the fight.
I was there ringside.
Ooh, what bro?
About 4 or 5.
Oh, that's Kelley.
I thought it was somebody.
That's Kelley for you. All right, let's see the next one.
This is Madison Square Gardens on Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield fight. And
Uh-huh.
that is with me and the most beautiful and talented
Is that?
and the real GOAT, Miss Layla Ali.
Okay, that's who that is. Layla Ali. Layla Ali. Okay. That's a nice picture. And that was back when you had the tips, the
Watch
blue
your
tips. Okay, I'm good. Next picture.
I'm still pretty.
Not gonna take that from you. Okay, we got right here.
This
Wow.
one has a little history to it. Don King in the center.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Morrison, everyone knows him off the Rocky movies.
Right.
And my fighter, heavyweight contender, Arthur Stormy Weathers. That fight was for the WBO heavyweight title of the world. Don King came on Showtime.
Uh-huh.
Don King came into the dressing room. We were already gloved up and warmed up, ready to go. He said, Cal, I'm sorry, the fight's been canceled. I said, DK, I'm confused. We have 10 minutes before we go live on Showtime.
Right.
He said, Tommy flunked his medical. I can't tell you exactly what happened, but it's canceled.
So you were due to fight who that night?
Tommy Morrison for the WBO heavyweight title.
Okay.
That was his guy that was getting ready to fight
Yeah.
Tommy Morrison.
Right.
And he was very smart. Stormy was a very smart guy. He always had 9 jobs, at least.
At least.
Wow.
And he took the profits from that and turned it into a very good business. He named it after his wife, called Margaret's Movers.
Oh,
You see
sweet.
the big trucks with the guns flexing
Uh-huh.
going down the road.
Okay, so that's how you put all that together. All right. Go ahead. What you got? You know, Kelly's a poor man now.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Oh,
Hey, go right ahead.
oh.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, this is in back in Las Vegas.
Uh-huh.
I had 2 heavyweights on the card out there. Jimmy Haynes versus Jimmy Thunder. And Jeff Lally versus,
Can you remember?
Willie McCain.
Okay.
I was trying to give you his nickname.
What they used to call him?
Willie
You
McCain,
allowed to say that?
Sweet Willie.
Oh, okay.
And he dressed like the bishop, Don Juan.
Oh, okay.
He dressed like he was a pimp from 73, although this was 203. This was
Right.
97, 98, but he was kind of stuck in time.
Right.
Sweet Willie.
Sweet Willie, hey.
And that is me and former 4-time world champion Sugar Shea Mosley.
Yeah, I'm about to say, you can see Sugar's.
Yes.
Yeah, you see Shay's jaws.
The
all-
Green Eyed Bandit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Let's see the next picture.
Wow.
Yeah.
We did back on this one.
Uh-huh.
Whoa.
So this is in the Poconos in Great Gorge, New Jersey,
Mhm.
in training camp with one I think the best to ever, Roy Jones Jr.
Oh, yeah.
This was Montel Griffith the first Montel Griffith won fight,
Mhm.
and me and Glenn the Promise Thomas were there. We were sparring partners for
Right.
8 weeks. So me and Glenn favor Montel's build. Short, stocky, like to fight inside.
Right.
So Roy brought us in as the sparring partners, and that's when Montel pulled a little slick punch, a slick trick,
Mhm.
and act like Roy did hit him going down. His leg wasn't touching, but he claimed he acted like he couldn't get up.
Right.
So Roy lost the world title by DQ. Now in the rematch,
Uh-huh.
Roy knocked him out in 1.
Right. Didn't waste no
No.
time, no hesitation.
No.
Get right to it. Hey, Roy got a nice rap game too.
You know what the number 1 single is, right?
Yeah.
Y'all must have been that.
Yes, it
Don't
is.
make me go back there.
Right. Next one.
Oh, wow. 1976, super middleweight, light heavyweight, gold medalist, Michael the Sphinx Jinx, Leon's
Yeah.
little brother.
Wow.
This was on the undercard of Greg Page, and Leon was actually fighting. And I was in the back and ran back and forth the locker room. And I've been around Michael for years. Glenn was his sparring partner.
Uh-huh.
His nickname is Slim.
The name Slim, that's what he's called.
He made $13 million off of the Tyson fight and retired, a happy man, and he still has all his senses together.
He does.
He's still around,
Okay.
walking and talking normal. He's a fantastic guy.
Right, and one thing I heard when I was up there was when I was at the Regionals was a guy talking about being punch drunk, so you don't want to end up punch drunk.
You know, with you saying that,
Uh-huh.
I've had some tests run, and I do have a little damage. So I noticed that my equilibrium is off a little bit,
Uh-huh.
and I do slur. So it is there, it is real. In medical terms, it's called pugilistic dementia syndrome.
Okay, that's what it's called in medical terms.
In our terms,
Uh-huh.
you're punch drunk.
Got it.
So
So what
I'm
would
punched tipsy.
Tipsy.
what would be the difference between that term and the football term of the CTE? Is there any specific differences?
It really isn't.
No.
There really is, because it's all due to blows to the head.
Mm.
So
And reminder to everybody out there, you come from an era where 10 rounds a day was warming up, maybe.
see, this is what people don't understand about boxing. They say, "Oh, that was a tough fight. All the tough fights
Right, 15 rounds
he
back
had
in
in
the
his
day.
career." That's not where the punishment comes from.
Where does it come
The
from?
punishment comes from you training 200 or 300 rounds,
Right.
preparing for that fight. That's where it really comes from. Sure, you got 14, 16 ounce gloves and headgear on.
Right.
But when you go from that to back in the day, there was 6 ounce, and now the rule is 147 below, it's 8 ounce, 154 and above is 10 ounce.
Right.
Okay.
So, and even like the MMA, I believe they're 4 ounce.
Are they?
Yes.
I didn't know
4
that.
ounces?
Yes.
Now, so damage comes from not actually the fight, but
Right.
training to get up to that
Getting
fight.
up to it.
It's,
There's a lot of people who didn't know that.
you're talking about, like I said, 200 or 300 rounds
Right.
of 12 weeks.
That's crazy.
Sparring, if not every other day, every 3 to 4 days a week.
All right, with that being said, I have a question. So, as a boxer, so if I'm talking to you as a boxer,
Mhm.
what is it that you fight for when you're a boxer? What do you fight for? I'm sure there's probably a load of things, but you can probably touch on maybe one or two. What is it that you fight for?
I was fighting for my life. It saved me.
Feel that.
Boxing, people say that, but I'm telling you, I wasn't the best kid in the world.
Right.
I was semi-homeless at times.
Mm-hmm.
I ran the streets.
Right.
I did everything I probably shouldn't have done or didn't know better to do.
Right.
So if it was not for boxing and a gentleman by the name of Baby Leroy Emerson, I may not be here.
Feel that. So you were actually fighting for your life. So there's that's the question that we're going to start asking is what
Okay.
do you fight for? Some people fight for their lives, some people fight for the fame, some people fight for the notoriety, all that comes together. But when you got started, you were just, I'm fighting for my life.
11, 12 years old, and there were nights that I slept in the gym. So,
I watched the docuseries and they had a champ that was still sleeping in the gym, lightweight champ.
there's quite a few out there. Believe it or not, Joe Frazier he had a small studio apartment
Mm-hmm.
connected to his original gym in Philly. And you better stay at the shelter. It was that bad.
I see.
So,
Boxing is real life. It's a way of life, man. They
a
gonna get it
lifestyle.
now though. They gonna get it now. Let's go. Let me see. We got one more. And we'll get back to some
oh
more
my
questions.
goodness. This is Atlantic City.
Mhm.
I'm sorry if I offended anyone. This is at the Trump Taj Mahal. Don't care for the name of the building.
Right.
Gerald's, my fighter, Gerald Reed, boxing's best kept secret. That was on HBO, as you can see. We were fighting the former lightweight champ of the world, Philip Holliday from South Africa. And we took that fight on, I think, 12 to 16 hour notice.
12 to 16 hours.
Hours, not
Same.
days.
Hours.
Hours.
Okay, so I'm playing PlayStation and all of a sudden the phone ring.
Pretty sure College Reed was doing about
I
200 rounds the
I
day
got the
before.
phone call from Cedric Kushner,
Uh-huh.
who's the promoter, who's actually the matchmaker, I believe it's Eric Botcher. And he said, I have a fight for you, Philip Holliday, who do you have? I said, well, I got Gerald and one other guy. He said, I want Gerald.
He said, I want him. He thought you said, Gerald, another guy. Like, no, I want
Yeah,
that.
I want Gerald. Bring me Gerald. I said, okay.
You sure about that?
He said, I'll give you X amount of dollars. I said, no, you won't. I said, when's the fight? He said, tomorrow night. He said, I'll give you this. I said, no, you won't. I added 10 to it.
Right. You need us that
So I added
bad.
10 grand to it. He's like, you really gonna do this to me? I said, you really gonna do this to me? I said, you forget, you called me, I didn't call you.
Right.
So
Right.
therefore, I can go back to the gym and eat dinner as my regular day.
Right.
Or I can tell Gerald to pack his bag and let's go. He said, you got me, champ, you got me. I'll see you at the airport.
Gerald packed his bag.
And we packed our bags, and I met him.
Mm-hmm.
Gerald jumped on the plane out of Lexington, I jumped from Louisville, and we met in Newark. And man, we almost pulled off history.
I was going to ask how did the fight go. How did that fight
The
go?
fight became, in the third or fourth round, there was an incidental headbutt,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a real bad cut. So if 4 rounds are not completed, it's declared a technical draw. If 4 rounds were being completed, they went to the scorecards.
Did you get a chance to see the scorecards?
No.
So they never told you.
How did
We
you
didn't
feel he
care.
was doing?
Didn't care?
I think Gerald was beating him with a jab. Gerald was beating him with a
Oh, the
jab.
jab's number one.
Yeah,
That's,
it's a Tommy Hearns jab.
yeah.
Is it?
It will reach out and touch you from, like,
From across the
where
street?
did that come from? He was in Montana.
The jab called by 5'3" or 3'5" every damn time.
Long and rangy. from 47 to 54, always in shape. Carried digital scales in his gym bag.
He did. He still does.
Well, I was
He
gonna,
still does.
I was saying you have a connection
It's
with
in
it.
his truck. Oh yeah,
Yes.
my very first coach. Yes.
So your very first coach was this
With
Gerald
Gerald
Reed guy.
Biscuit
Yes.
Reed. Top
Absolutely.
10 in the world. There's
Yeah.
actually a rule because of him skipping weight classes, going up and down so many times. They asked him how is he still alive because he jumped up and down within 6 months
Mhm.
of 3 different weight classes up and down. So, yeah.
So,
he's
so they
definitely-
changed the rule because this
they
gentleman
added
right
a
here.
rule because of him.
Now, once you weigh in, you can only put on, I believe it's 8%. Where before, you had fighters like Arturo Gatti, Thunder Gotti.
Uh-huh.
He would make 130, 135 pounds.
Then
Right.
go up to 50.
And then would weigh in at 170.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Because he
yeah.
was completely dry, what we call dried out.
Right.
There's not a drop of liquid in his body.
Oh my God.
And it's so bad for your kidneys.
I was about to say that can't
Because
be
the
healthy
IV at
for
the
you.
weigh-in.
That and they took that rule away from us. We couldn't no more. We couldn't do IVs no more. So everybody went to Pedialyte.
Mm.
Oh, so that.
So now you see fighters today at weigh-ins. When you see their trainer hand them a bottle, as soon as they step off the scales, that's the dope Pedialyte to pull all the electrolytes back in you.
And to put it all back
Should be on
in.
Yeah.
some coconut water too. That's my favorite.
So
Coconut water's your thing?
Oh yeah, they use that
Have
for
you-
blood transfusions in some countries.
yes,
Okay, so before we get to the next one, let's, you said that you have boxers. So you, after you're done boxing, what did you start training or you start finding
Same time,
boxers?
right?
I was. Wow. Actually, I came back. I was in the Army. I represented the Army.
All right, salute.
Thank you. I was a drill sergeant.
Okay. Who would
That's
guess?
where that comes
like you couldn't guess that.
That was that master fitness instructor.
Give me 20.
I served 2 combat tours, but once I realized that I could box,
Uh-huh.
I didn't have to work. So I chose to run to the gym and get hit in the head.
Well, they say if you like what you're doing, it's not work, right?
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
but then I came home and I started going to the gym, and there was some pros working out. They said we need some sparring partners. I said I'll work with you. Like, and you're still an amateur.
Right.
I said, well, I'll give you the best that I can.
Right.
And believe it or not, I got one on the backside pretty good. And so I started my pro career that way. It was not intentional whatsoever. It was not
We're looking to
intentional.
turn pro.
Right. We're looking turn.
But I will tell you this, and I will admit this.
Uh-huh.
As a pro fighter, there was nothing special about me. The average, below average.
Right.
I was a C fighter on my best day.
All right. All
But I
right.
realized I had a knack for training. I
Okay.
could dissect the fighter.
Okay.
And I won't compare myself, but I use him as an example.
Mhm.
Freddie Roach.
Right.
Freddie Roach was a C fighter, C plus fighter.
That's what I've heard.
But Freddie Roach is a professor
When it comes to that
when
training.
it comes to training
Mhm.
and dissecting a fighter and his flaws and what he does. And that's how he was able to keep Manny's career going much longer than I believe any other trainer could. He prolonged it. Just like Emmanuel Stewart prolonged the Klitschko brothers. They left their original trainer in Berlin, Germany.
Oh wow.
Came to Detroit and hired Manny. And then they went undefeated for 8 years.
That's how that happened.
Emmanuel Stewart,
That's how that happened.
one of the greatest trainers of all time.
Would you say the same about Cuss with Tyson since
Cuss
he
D'Amato.
didn't have a long career either? I heard I think he was injured when he was younger.
Who,
or something
Cuss?
like that. Yeah.
Cuss did not have a long career.
Yeah.
He was an authoritarian. He was a dictator.
Psychologist, doctor, everything, right?
Well, if you're a good dictator, it doesn't matter if you.
Well, let's see.
Right.
How many more champions did he
Floyd
have?
Patterson was a
Right.
heavyweight champion.
Right.
Tyson and Jose Torres, who were originally from Cuba, but was light heavyweight world champion. So this is the stable that Mike came out of. So when Cuss grabbed him out of a local, we call it JCC, was it juvenile youth?
I was about to say juvie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
juvie.
That's
We
juvie.
got him out of juvie,
Right.
and they brought him up to the house in the Catskills. He said, this kid's going to be world champion. Teddy Atlas and Kevin Rooney. He said, y'all don't get it. He said, I see it.
He told him that every day.
So he's 15 years old.
Right.
He's gonna be world champ.
Can't beat that.
So yeah.
Still the youngest world champion in the
Who
is?
world. Mike Tyson.
Oh, yeah.
Before
Oh,
he was just turned 20.
Youngest heavyweight world
Heavyweight
champion.
world champion.
There you go. I'm gonna get you.
Anyway. All right, so let me ask you now we touched on it in the beginning. So as compared to now, as compared to back then, without getting into it too much, what do you say the state of boxing is in now? And this is across the board. We're not talking about Louisville. We're just talking about across the board. And you being a boxologist, what do you say the state of it is in
I
now?
like that term. Nice term.
I like the old days better
Mm-hmm.
when the best fought the best,
Mm-hmm.
and there wasn't all the networks and the politics involved.
Right.
Now now there's 35 networks, and you can only fight underneath my network. And if we do, and if you don't, then it takes 6 months to work out a deal. So because they both want a percentage of the pay-per-view income.
Uh-huh.
So back then, I remember watching Ray Leonard and Mike Tyson, Wild World Sports, free on Saturday afternoon at 5 o'clock.
You got a point there.
Mhm.
You do. You have a point there.
Tuesday night fights, Tuesday USA fights.
Yep, I remember that.
My fighter, Big Tim Payton,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Pollard, I had another kid, Tim Payton. Pollard fought Butterbean in the main event in the very last televised Tuesday fight in Philadelphia.
Wow.
Yes, I'm gonna say wow. Last fight, so that's history right there.
Yes.
That it is. You've been a part of this. And as we wind this down, we are going to. Do you have a Kelley Mays story?
Not in particular.
No.
He is the second coach I ever met in the whole industry of boxing. And I always have great respect for him because he's had such knowledge over the years, and I find it very, I always love to have a moment to speak with him anytime possible because he's been through so much, and no matter what, he's been involved with the sport of boxing. I have no idea what he does outside of boxing, but the man has survived for a reason. So from boxer to trainer / manager, and now a pro referee. Just excited to see what the future holds.
Oh, pro referee?
Pro referee, pro
Oh,
judge,
okay.
and chief inspector.
All right.
Okay.
I've been working hard for them titles.
Hey, I'm not mad at you. And that's why Katie's here, number one. That's why Katie's here. Because Katie is a boxer. She's an amateur boxer. She fights. Me, I've never fought. I'm not stepped in nobody's ring. I am a fan. I am a straight up fan that is concerned. So I want to make sure we have somebody here with a little bit more boxing knowledge than me.
Excited for the venture. very excited.
Right, so she'll be here. And I have a Kelley Mays story and how this all come about. And he didn't even know who I was. So
Let's go.
it is. It's great. So
You got me a little
no,
nervous.
it's nothing like that at all. But it was just interesting. So I get in the business, and then I just go to the first fight. So it's the first fight. I'm not ring announcing, and I'm just here. And I'm trying to cover, and I'm trying to talk to fighters, and I'm just looking around. So it's like my first or second fight that I'm not doing something, and in walks this guy.
Nice.
In walks this guy. I have no idea who he is. I did dressed to a T. Bleep. Walks in, and I was in the corner because I'm wild peeping the whole scene. So from the door to the time that he sat down, there was not a person that did not shake this man's hand and give him some type of love or some kind of respect. And I peeped that from the gate. So that's the first fight that I ever seen him at. So I'm like, okay. So the second fight that I'm at, that I'm not working, same thing happens again. And I was like, I said, who is this guy?
Who's so mad at you?
I said, this guy is somebody. And then once the idea came to do the podcast and everything, I was like trying to work my way up to you. So I feel like 2022, you're the best guest to start this thing with. So started off with a bang. And that's how I got introduced to Kelley Mays. And I was like, man, I need to know who this guy is. So that is why you're here. And I'm glad that you have shared your experiences with us.
Man,
So grateful.
I just appreciate being invited and sharing some of these boxing stories, and some of them don't mean a whole lot. But I've been fortunate. This game has been very good to me and my family.
Right.
So and for you new in the business,
Right.
to be able to ask me to come out and talk to you, man, it's an honor. So I appreciate you. I really do.
And we're learning. And the thing is, what I want people to do, what we want people to do now. Number one, LLF is all about love. We're all about inclusion. We're all about trying to bring this game back. And I'm not the only one. Understand, I'm not the only one out here. Katie's out here. There's other people out here that are constantly trying to do this and bring us back to the level of the Kelley Mays level in that era where it was whatever. You want to fight, let's fight. Let's go, let's get it.
I would like, you know, in my day,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not included in this list.
Mm-hmm.
We had a crop of fighters in the 80s. Former heavyweight champion Greg Page, welterweight contender Tyrone Moore, 140-pound junior welterweight contender Terry Silver, welterweight Gene Stevens, Kenny Heflin, Baker Barrett Tinsley. That's 7 off Larry Russian,
Right.
Jody Parker.
Right. And
These are all local guys.
Right.
Now, with me saying that, in today's crop, heavyweight, 10-0-1. I got a lot of numbers in my head with fighters.
Most definitely.
10-0-1, Tim Moten. Deshaun Ross.
Right.
I believe he's 6-0-1, cruiserweight.
Right.
Come down to Wan Jin Choi, aka Pretty Boy Choi, from South Korea, has been in Louisville his whole life.
Right.
Light heavyweight, 7-0. Robel Rogers, Lexington, 5-3. Fluctuates between 54 and 60.
Right.
He fought on the undercard of Carlos Dixon at the Yum Center.
His very first fight, Carlos Dixon's
on the
first
Real
fight
Deal show.
Yeah.
against New York State champion.
Yes, Devon Lee. I was in the corner that night.
Yes, sir.
So with that crop, I'm sorry. One of my favorite, two favorite fighters, DeMontez Juicy Duncan.
Oh yeah.
Old school nuts and guts. You can put me in a phone booth and fight. I don't need a ring. Let's just stand here and go at it.
Right.
Young kid coming up. Celeste Bay, another strong welterweight contender. He's a force to be reckoned with.
Right.
And the baby of the bunch, who I think has as much talent as any of them, and that's Fred Compton. He's 123 pounds.
I heard a lot about him.
And his trainer, Aaron Shackles, former national champion at 112 pounds.
Right.
So when I say the best fought the best, you're talking about the number 1 contender in the United States, Aaron Shackles,
Right.
versus the number 2 contender in the United States from Louisville, Kentucky, Chan Cooper.
Oh,
You
okay.
had number 1 and number 2 at 112.
Right.
Aaron beat Chan on decision for the title.
That's
Not
it.
Louisiana, not New York, not
Right.
Philly, not Chicago, not Detroit.
Right here.
Both come out of the
Right
West
here.
End.
Right here.
Not Louisville, but the West End.
Right.
So listen, put it in a bowl. It just got real small, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
So you talking
It
about a
did.
hotbed?
Yeah.
This was a hotbed for years. And I think with this crop of fighters that we have now, it's coming back. We have a couple good local promoters that they're being consistent.
Right.
And so I think with the combination, that everything's, the ingredients has to make up a real nice cake.
So the ingredients here. The ingredients are
The
here.
ingredients is here with the promoters, the fighters, and the managers and trainers. If everyone put this ego in their pocket and work together.
Hey, you heard it from my man Kelley Mays, man. Can't be said any better than that. On that note, before we get out of here, let's see. You said something about Juicy Duncan. Juicy Duncan is fighting on the 29th in
Oak Grove Casino.
Oak
Kentucky.
Grove Casino. So we want to send a shout out to him, show him some love. Good luck on that.
I will be officiating the fight.
You're gonna be officiating that fight?
Yes, I will.
And make it out there if you can. Show
Right.
support.
I will be there. Come show your support for Juicy. We appreciate it.
Yep. Show your support for Juicy, and let's see. That's all I'm in. That's all I'm in with. You got anything?
No, this is a great start to the new year, and can't wait to see what's gonna happen. I'm a little eager myself to step back in the ring, so we'll see what happens. Never know what the future holds.
All right. Any parting words for him, Kelley Mays? My man, Kelley
Yes.
Mays, best dressed this side of the Mississippi, baby. You know what I'm saying?
I would like to inform everyone, February the 19th, at the Henry Clay Center, Eskridge Promotions is having a pro boxing show there. So on Saturday evening, bring your family, bring the kids. It's a family event. It's a wife event, a date event, a girlfriend,
Right.
The fellas,
Uh-huh.
and come support your local fighters. Without the
I agree.
guys, people, without you all buying seats, paying for the tickets, there will be no local boxing. Please come support these guys. Thank you. SKitch Promotions.
You got it. And you heard the man. Support your local boxing. Support it. Support it. Support it. 2022 first show. We out. Local Louisville fighting. Kelley Mays.